Hey Math 10, we are going to start with, like I said a couple weeks ago, some more Algebra 1 stuff. So hopefully today is a good review. You've got a good basis knowledge of the work we're going to do. We're going to be doing slope. We're going to be doing x and y intercepts, and we're going to be doing slope-intercept form. I think all of those things you are familiar with, so I feel like you are going to rock this lesson. Okay. So up here we've got slope formulas. M, remember, is the variable that represents slope. That's going to come into play later. Rise over run is typically what you do when you are making a graph or when you already have a graph. So rise over run. Behind rise, I'd like you to write the words up or down. So rise is up or down. And behind the word run, I would like you to write the words left or right. So rise means up or down. Run means left or right. So you need to know that so that you're doing it correctly, obviously. Second formula there, m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you have 2 points, that is how you will typically find slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is the formula. If I recall correctly, on I-STEPS or standardized testing, they will give you that formula. I don't think it's one that you actually have to have memorized. Okay. The next two things are things you need to have memorized, but they're not too challenging. To find the x-intercept, you plug in 0 for y. No matter what the equation is, you just plug in 0 for y, and you can find your x-intercept. Notice it's written as an ordered pair, so x, comma, 0. You're plugging in 0 for y, so that's why there's a 0 as the second part of your ordered pair. To find your y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. You plug in 0 for x, so then your ordered pair is 0, comma, y. Plugging in zeros is super easy, right? Because it becomes 0 and you don't have to deal with it. So hopefully you will find the benefits of that, that 0 work is not too challenging, actually. Okay. Notice the notes got a little bit altered. You're just going to find the slope of each one of these, okay? You're going to find the slope of each one of those. On this answer key, they kind of did some of the work for you. I don't know if you can see it on the video. On your sheet, they are just lines. There's not actual ordered pairs or points. That's the work you have to do. You need to find a good point to start at and a good point to end at. What do I mean by a good point? It needs to be where your line crosses with both an X grid line, so X grid lines going up and down, Y grid lines going left and right. So you want to find one, see right here where X and Y meet, but you need to find one of those on the line. So you can see they already put a point there. Notice none of these right here, none of those have met those qualifications of being where there's an X and a Y and a line until you get all the way down here. Okay, honestly, finding slope, that's the trickiest point, is finding a point to start at and finding a point to end at. You want to pick points that are on the X and Y grid lines so that you are able to find slope without having to do any fractions or decimals. I know you don't want to do fractions and decimals. I've been with you guys long enough to know that. So make sure that you find nice integer values by picking points where the X and the Y cross. Okay. So you can start and end at either point, it doesn't matter. I'm going to start here. So you're going to do, this is where you're going to use rise over run. You're going to go rise. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to go up 8. So your top number up, going up is positive. So your top number is positive 8. Then you're going to go your run 1, 2, 3. So you're going to go over to the right 3. And when you go right, it's also a positive value. So underneath here you can see it says slope is 8 over 3. Okay? The other thing I want you to notice, your slope is positive because your line is going up or rising. As you look at your line from left to right, your line is going up. So that means it has to be a positive slope. Okay? A line like this clearly looks like it's going down or falling, so you know that your slope needs to be negative. Again, you need to find points that you can use. You could use this point right here. Let's see. You could use this point right there. That point there. Or that point at the very top. Any of those points you can start at, and any of those points you can end at. If you pick ones really far away, you might have to reduce to get your slope. But it should work. So let's go ahead and pick a point to start at and end at. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go to this point here. So from this point, I'm going to go rise, so up or down. So I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3. So I went down 3. Down is a negative value, so negative 3. And then I'm going to go 1, 2. I went right 2. Right is positive. So down here you can see my slope is negative 3/2. This next one, the line is actually a little bit hard to see maybe, I don't know. But you can see there's a line going across underneath your x-axis. That's a horizontal line. I don't know if you need to write that in or if you know that word, but that's a horizontal line. And underneath there for slope, you need to write that it has a slope of 0. A horizontal line has a slope of 0. So go ahead and write that in. A slope of 0. And then the last one, you can, again, it's a little bit hard to see that line. There is a vertical line, and that slope is undefined. That slope is undefined. So those are ones that are special cases. You kind of have to memorize them. They are going to show up again. They're not going to just go away. They will show up. Okay. Let's go to the next ones. It says find the slope of the line passing through the points below. This is going to be where you're going to use your formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 1, negative 2, 2, 6. It might be helpful for you to label underneath there, this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. It's up to you. You don't have to write that underneath the ordered pairs. If you have ever struggled with slope in your life, I highly recommend you do that. It will make it a little bit easier for you to figure out which numbers go where in the formula, but it's up to you. So y2 is 6 minus a negative 2. So minus a negative, I want you to get in the habit of just putting plus. So this should say 6 plus 2. And then here you have 2 minus a negative 1. Minus a negative, again, becomes a plus. So 2 plus 1. So 6 plus 2 is 8. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 8/3. Okay? Would your line be rising or falling with a slope of 8/3? I hope you all answered rising. It's a positive slope, so your line would be rising. Let's go to the next one. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So negative 1 minus 4, and 5 minus 1. Negative 1 minus 4, negative 5. 5 minus 1, 4. Negative 5/4 is your slope. So, is your line rising or falling? Falling. Your line is falling because there is a negative slope. x1, y1, x2, y2. So you would do 11 minus 2, and then you would do negative 4 minus a negative 6. Again, minus a negative, you should write that as a plus. So negative 4 plus 6, and that would get you 2. So 11 minus 2 is 9. Negative 4 plus 6 is 2. So 9/2. Rising or falling? I hope you answer the fact that that would be rising. Last one on there, you're going to do y2, so that's 4, minus y1, so that's negative 5. So negative 4 minus a negative 5, two negatives make that a positive. So 4 plus 5 gets you a 9. On the bottom, 3 minus 0, so 3 minus 0 is 3. 9/3, you reduce or divide to get you a positive 3. Notice slopes should always be divided, reduced, whatever you can do with them. They're just like fractions, but they need to be in simplest form. So that's why you change that answer to a 3. All right, let's keep going. Number 3. Calculate the x and y intercepts of the following linear equations. To find your x-intercept, you let y equal 0. To find your y-intercept, you let x equal 0. So first one over here, it's a little bit hard to see. First one over there, you're being asked to find your x-intercept. There we go. You're going to find your x-intercept. X-intercept 0 plus 2 times x equals 2. You're plugging in 0 for y. When you add 0, it doesn't change anything, so it's just 2x equals 2. And so you get divide by 2, you get an answer of 1. X equals 1. Your ordered pair is 1, 0. 1 is the answer you found. 0 is what you plugged in for y to begin with. Go back to the original equation. You have to find your y-intercept this time. You find your y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x. So y plus 2 times 0 equals 2. Again, 2 times 0 is 0. Do you need to bother adding 0? No, it doesn't change anything. So you just end up with y equals 2. You plugged in 0 for x. You got an answer of y equals 2, so 0, 2. One of the mistakes I see students all the time is they take the 1 and the 2 and put it together as 1, 2. That is completely wrong. The x-intercept is a separate value, a separate ordered pair, and the y-intercept is its own ordered pair. So make sure that they are separate ordered pairs, that you don't write them together, because that would be wrong. Okay, let's keep going. X-intercept, you're plugging in 0 for y, 3x minus y equals -5. So 3x equals -5. Divide by 3, x equals -5/3. So -5/3, 0. Y-intercept, this is an interesting one that often causes problems. Here we're going to plug in a 0 for x. So it's 3 times 0 minus y equals -5. Notice that although 3 times 0 is 0, that negative y, that negative is still there. So notice it's -y equals -5. Don't be confused. Don't drop off that y. That's going to make a difference. So you need to divide by a -1 to get the y by itself. So y is equal to 5. Okay? So that y stays there even though what's in front of it is a 0. Okay? X value is a 0, y value is a 5, so 0, 5. X-intercept, plug in 0 for y, so 2 times 0. Well, what's 2 times 0? 0. So you have a -3x. Notice that negative c is still there, so -3x equals 6. Divide by the -3, x is equal to -2. Ordered pair is -2, 0. Y-intercept. You're going to plug in a 0 for the x, 0 right there for the x. 3 times 0 is 0, so you have 2y equals 6. Because you'd have 2y minus 0, you don't have to have minus 0, so 2y equals 6. Divide by 2, and so y is equal to 3. One last one. X-intercept, you're going to let y equal 0. 6 times 0 is 0. X plus 0 is just a x. So you just have x equals 12. You don't have anything else to do with that one. Ordered pair is 12, 0. Y-intercept, you're plugging in 0 for x. 0 plus 6y is just 6y. So 6y equals 12. Divide by that 6. So y is equal to 2. Ordered pair 0, 2. Okay. All right, go ahead and find your whiteboards. We are going to do a little bit of practice on your intercepts. So it says calculate the x and y intercepts. Go ahead and pause this video, let the students write the equations down, and then open up the next video.